Okay, there we go with another live stream. Let me quickly set everything up. Let me quickly see if everything is working correctly. And I will do a quick post on X that we are live once again. And then we will dive into today's live stream here. Give me a moment. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, almost done. Boom. Oh. Okay, just did a quick post on X that we are live once again, and now we are going to be able to dive in. I'm sorry that was a little bit later than we scheduled, but actually the market is quite active today, a lot of stuff happening, so I was just finishing up some other work, and now we can dive in what we have upcoming here, which is the PMI and some ISM data. Let me quickly show this. Also, let me put on the chat. Welcome for the first people dropping in here. Good to have you guys back once again. And let's discuss what is going to be hitting the market in 20 minutes. And also let's discuss what will be happening here in the next 12 hours from up this live stream. Because actually we have quite an early live stream after this one also following once again. Because now we are live on the PMI and the ISM data. But actually, I will be going to sleep for a few hours tonight. And then we will be back with the Fed Chair Powell speech. But for me, it's quite the weird time zone. The speech is happening at 8 p.m. US time. So for me, that's in the morning in the current time zone, which I am now. But yes, we will be back quite quickly with another live stream here. Okay, what I wanted to discuss. Today we have the ISM manufacturing PMI data and the ISM manufacturing employment data. So not only business cycle data, but also employment data, which in my opinion is going to be interesting because it will give somewhat of a mixed view of both the US labor market in this sector and of course the strength of the US business cycle, where the PMI is a very important indicator for. In a moment, I will quickly switch over to the chart where we can look into the business cycle compared to Bitcoin. Then I can easily show you why the data is important and why I just want to keep my eyes on it. On Tuesday, then we have the Powell speech. For me, it's going to be 5 a.m. in the morning. So we will be going live at 4:30, which is my time. But check the time zone for yourself. Just come over to Trading Economics and make sure to set your time zone at the one you're currently in, and then you can be seeing how late this event will be occurring for yourself. So when is Powell going to speak in your time zone, you can check it out at Trading Economics yourself. I would suggest you doing so because it's going to be an important event. Every single one of its speeches is going to be important for markets and will be giving the markets some new info, hopefully. Yes, then let's dive over to the Bitcoin compared to the PMI chart. I will quickly open a new one and then we can discuss that because that's what we're looking into with today's data. actually. Also, I was just looking into this. We have a bearish crossover confirmed on the monthly for Bitcoin, which actually not looking that good, but we will discuss that tomorrow, I think. Now I wanted to discuss the US business cycle because, like I said, actually the market is quite active once again, guys. So we have a lot of stuff happening, and yeah, a lot to cover actually, I must say. Let's go over to the Bitcoin chart here. Let's overlay it with the business cycle, the PMI in this case, and then I have a very good indicator, which is this one, of the PMI data. And what is so interesting of this entire cycle, in my opinion, is how different the US business cycle has performed during this Bitcoin bull market. And this also makes you challenge the idea of the 4-year cycle, or maybe not, and you think that Bitcoin is indeed going to move higher if the PMI will also see a new uptick. But this is actually the data we have coming out. So the PMI data, this has been all of the PMI data points over the last, let's say, 15 years now, from 2010 compared with Bitcoin, of course. And what we do see with the PMI is that it usually corresponds with all of the Bitcoin tops. The peak of the US business cycle, which is that consumer boom, which also brings you that euphoria in the market basically. The peak of that US business cycle did most of the times correspond with a major Bitcoin cycle top. But this time it has been completely different for Bitcoin and the US business cycle. And that is why I think it's going to be worth it to keep our eyes on the data here. Because if you simply overlay it, you can see how perfectly, never perfect, but how it does predict the Bitcoin cycle tops, and also did here in 2021. And now we've seen basically a completely flat US business cycle, which is very different, of course. So that's what we are going to take a look at. And eventually, if the PMI data is going to come in higher than expected, for example, and if we can be seeing the start of a new US business cycle at some moment, it is probably going to be very bullish for Bitcoin. And that's why we should be early with tracking off the data to see if the US business cycle will remain in contraction, which it currently is below the 50 basis points here, or will it enter somewhat of expansion once we are going to have a few bullish PMI points. An interesting chart, in my opinion, for the PMI is also going to be the balance sheet, and that is something we discussed a lot of times over the last few weeks, basically, because we are going to have a big change within the Fed balance sheet. Let me boom. Let's look at the PMI, the Fed balance sheet, and I will quickly move this to a new pane below because I think that's going to be more clear. And then we will put Bitcoin here with the Fed balance sheet. What we do see, of course, and we did indeed not saw this happening here with this US business cycle, but with 2 US business cycles and also the last one, we also saw the start of QE, which of course did unleash the biggest US business cycle we've ever seen here. So the shift in monetary policy, because today QT is going to be ending, that is why I'm also looking forward to the speech of Powell later today, because is he going to mention something about the ending of QT, maybe QE, just also what is he going to say about the economy in general, but I think about the monetary policy here is going to be even more important. So we know that QT stopped today. What's going to happen now with the Fed balance sheet? When will we start to see somewhat of an uptick? When could QE be getting announced? And if that is going to happen, we might also see a major uptick in the US business cycle, and you get somewhat of a perfect storm. And then we also come into the question, which I do get a lot on the channel, which we should discuss, is did Bitcoin actually top out at the current moment here? Or not, because the US business cycle definitely did not top. It basically has been in contraction this entire bull market, so that is completely different to what we've seen in all the other 4-year cycles. So if this is the leading indicator of the 4-year cycle, is the 4-year cycle then still going to be your leading indicator? will be the big question. What we do know is that if we go back to, let me see, 2019, just this moment, if we compare those two, is that we can see that in 2019 Bitcoin also saw a major move higher without altcoins moving higher themselves, and we saw Bitcoin topping out in this stage of the US business cycle also. A completely different scenario, and then we saw a very short bear market, and from that point we saw a true bull market getting started once the US business cycle saw like a major uptick. So we should also be open for a 2019 scenario repeating here, since the US business cycle is now actually lower than the PMI business cycle is now actually lower than the point where it was in 2019 when we topped out, for example. So, or topped out, you could argue that if we did not see COVID here, this was just one big consolidation. And what if this was also one big consolidation, just with a lot of institutional inflow? It is a very interesting idea, I must honestly say. But yeah, that's why we will be taking a look into the data, because in the end, that is going to be our only chance of somewhat seeing and somewhat expecting of where the PMI will be heading next year and what we can be expecting. But it definitely makes you think about the Bitcoin cycles, the US business cycle here, in my opinion. Looking into Bitcoin itself, let's discuss a few other charts before the data will be coming out in 10 minutes. And also, like stated, guys, it is also the ISM manufacturing employment data, so somewhat of an, if you want to use labor market also. That makes it even more interesting, in my opinion. It might have a small effect on the rate cut probabilities. I don't think so, because I think this is getting led by other important data and not necessarily by this data, but also very interesting. Rate cut probabilities now at about 88. Let's see. Danger with this is that there is much more room to move lower at some moment than to move higher for the rate cut out. So that makes it a little bit tricky also with the Powell speech tomorrow, in my opinion. Of course, Bitcoin today saw a major drawdown. Now we have been bouncing back up ever so slightly. Weird hourly candle here at the current moment. But we've seen some weird price action. And actually, I just saw quite some interesting stuff coming out about this. And I would highly suggest you going over to the Crypto Rover page and reading this thread about the US, or not the US, the Japan bond market, and why the bond market is causing some issues for global markets, for both the US stock market, Bitcoin, so the crypto market, and more stuff. I think it's going to be an interesting read. If you don't understand it and if you want to learn something, just come over to his page and make sure to read this thread. Mr. Crypto, let's go. Nice to have you here. Yes, I think that's going to be an interesting one to read. Look into Bitcoin itself. If you did watch this morning's update video, not that much of a difference. Let's refresh the Coinbase Premium Index. What's going on here? Coinbase Premium flips quite negative here, once again. Which is interesting. Here at 5 p.m. So Coinbase Premium is very negative at the current moment. Also flipping back up a little bit here. Interesting. Let's see how that will continue. Smart money, Bitfinex longs, like we discussed on the channel. We are one of the first ones to spot the trend. Trend still keeps on going. The new weekly candle actually pushed it a little bit higher once again. So now we are close towards the tariff high here for the Bitfinex longs. So smart money is still going long. RSI indicator keeps on going up. It's quite insane that it still is, because look at the oversold area it's currently in. It's quite insane actually. But yeah, smart money is still going long on Bitcoin. The Coinbase Premium Index flips a little bit negative. Tomorrow we have some new BlackRock inflows, so let's see what they will be doing with their accumulation. Probably they have been selling looking at the Coinbase Premium Index, but does not have to be the case. So yeah, Ethereum trading position in a small loss here, but mostly it was of course because of this major correction to the downside. Yeah, not much else to discuss about trading position. I would just keep it open. I think Bitcoin is likely to see a bigger bounce in the near future. So I still think Ethereum could be following here. And yeah, if you do want to join with the trading position, make sure to come over to Albank, where you can trade Ethereum, Bitcoin, and a lot of other altcoin pairs. Make sure to come and check it out. If you're getting interested in that, you can find the link towards Albank in the description on this live stream or update video. On the channel, doesn't really matter. You can find it on the live stream also, and there you can be claiming. Let me quickly show it if I can find it. There you can be claiming quite a nice offer, which I will quickly show. There it is, a 50% deposit bonus and a generous refund. Deposit bonus up to 2.5k, generous refund up to 5k. Make sure to go and check it out if you're getting interested in that, to open a trading position. Make sure to check it out if you're getting interested in that. Okay, data coming out in 7 minutes. I will switch over to the price section in the For You page for now. I will keep the PMI chart open. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them and drop them now before we are going to cover the data. Does the data came? No, the data is coming out in about 6 minutes from here on. 6 minutes. Let me clean up a chart for you guys. 5 minutes. There we go. Okay, that's the Bitcoin 5-minute chart. Let's also open the Ethereum 5-minute chart. Ethereum. What's ISM and how does it affect the markets? The ISM itself is just the agency basically where the data comes out from. What you should be looking at is what kind of data is it, and you're looking into the PMI data in this case, and that is basically the data of the US business cycle itself, which is called the Purchasing Manager Index here, which does represent the US business cycle here. And that's why we are looking into it. And like discussed earlier in the video, Bitcoin basically always, or in the live stream, Bitcoin always peaked out on US business cycle tops and always ignited bull runs during an uptick of the US business cycle. So that's why it's interesting to look into the business cycle. The business cycle itself, so the PMI also shows you the condition of the US Main Street, so basically retail, just like us. And during peaks of the US business cycle, usually retail is very active within the markets. They are buying a lot of stocks, they are buying a lot of assets during the peak of the US business cycle. Usually there's also a lot of money going around, there's a lot of cheap liquidity. That's why the US business cycle does sometimes also, or actually a few times in the past did align with QE. So in periods where there is a lot of cheap money liquidity available, where consumers are spending a lot, that are actually during those cycles Bitcoin has always performed the best. And during those cycles we've also seen altcoin seasons, which is interesting. Altcoins seem to be even more sensitive for the US business cycle, which does make a lot of sense. Because at the top of the US business cycle, or just in the move higher in the expansion phase, that is going to be a phase where consumers will have liquidity to invest into altcoins in the first place. And that is something it seems like we have been missing for the last 3 years, basically, after that crazy COVID business cycle. If it comes out in more than 48, it will be bullish, right? Let me look into it. Previous 48.7, consensus 48.6. look, I think the biggest number is going to be 50, but that is going to be highly unlikely because if I'm right, that switches over the PMI from off contraction to expansion. I don't know for sure. It could also be 45. I will be looking it up later. But actually, all the numbers higher than, I would say, 48.6 because I'm looking into the consensus a bit more. 48.8 is the forecast here on trading economics. So let's say 49 could be a bullish outcome for the PMI. And same, yeah, for the ISM manufacturing data, everything above 46, 47, probably 47. Let's say 49 for the PMI, 48 for the ISM manufacturing employment. Then you have quite some bullish data, actually. Let's see. It's coming out in 2 minutes, so let's keep our eyes on it. I will go to my notifications. After years of not adjusting the topic. Okay, let's see. Let's see, Bitcoin and Ethereum moving up on the 5-minute chart. Just before the data, 1 minute, 1 minute. Let's see. Quickly repost this one. Should be coming out any moment now. For me, 7 o'clock. For you, it might be different time zone. Which time zones are you guys in, by the way? Curious to see where you guys are from. The SEO says China has a bonus opportunity for the future. Okay. Okay, data is coming out now. ISM manufacturing new orders 47.4 versus 49, 48.5. Factory index 48.2 versus. Does not look very good, to be honest. Okay, let's see. We also have it here. Actual PMI coming out lower than expected and also below the previous data. Same can be said for employment. What is Bitcoin going to do on the data? Not that much. Not that much volatility on the data itself. But the PMI is contracting once again, and same can be said for employment. So the total sector is not looking that amazing. The manufacturing sector is not looking that good here. Maybe for employment it could be increasing the chance of rate cuts. Let's refresh it. No, nothing there yet. I will quickly post this data, if you guys can give me a moment, on X also. So everybody that can't be watching live here can still be seeing the data. So the US business cycle is contracting. One moment. Okay, quickly going to post it now. We know it by now also, so it does not really matter that much, but I do want to get it out there for the viewers also, because not everybody wants to watch. Okay. Boom. It's out there for the people on X also. Let me quickly go over to it. Bitcoin and ETH. Quite a volatile candle, but not a clear direction here. Coming over to the page, ISM manufacturing PMI lower than expected, new orders lower than expected, employment lower than expected, prices paid a little bit higher. So not looking that amazing, I must honestly say. Not looking that good. But okay, interesting. Actually, you're coming down now a little bit here. Let me look into the rate cut odds. Doing nothing. Doesn't matter for the rate cut odds. Okay. Okay, guys, let's just keep our eyes on what Bitcoin will be doing here in the near future. PMI will be trending ever so slightly lower here towards the, what was it? 47 2 level. It's basically consolidating in that phase. Okay, let's just keep our eyes on what Bitcoin will be doing here over the next few minutes. We are coming down a little bit now. We dropped below 86k here. Does look a little bit weak, but make sure to also drop some questions now, since we have some time to discuss after the data. Everything is red again, a typical Monday. It's true, we have not been performing that good. I think out of the last 9 weeks you had like 8 red Mondays, something like that. Just out of my head. Bitcoin's actually coming down ever so slightly on the data. But yeah, we still have a lot of stuff incoming, so I won't be looking into the price action that much for now, since if you're looking into what we still have ahead of us this week, we still have a lot of opportunities to bounce back up or dump much lower. A lot can be happening this week. Let me come over to the events of this week. For the new people dropping into the live, we will discuss one more time what will be happening next from here and when I will also be live again. Here we have it. Today, of course, the Power Speech QT ending. So today QT officially did end, which is quite amazing, of course. 3 years of tightening are now over. The PMI and ISM manufacturing data, which we just discussed. Wednesday we have even more PMI and ISM data. Thursday initial jobless claims and the US trade deficit. Friday PCE inflation. I think also the PCE inflation data is going to be very important for those rate cut odds, because those are mostly led by the both jobless claims we have this week, so the US labor market data and the PCE inflation data. Important to keep in mind that Friday we will see a big effect on that also as one of the last data points before the 10th of December FOMC meeting, of course. So that's what we're looking into. The Powell speech is stated first here, but like I also discussed at the beginning of this live stream, actually the Powell speech will be occurring for me at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. So I will have a very short night. That is one thing, that's for sure. And I will be up here at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning to be live at 4:30. And then at 5 a.m. itself, I think, as I can be seeing on the economic calendar, Powell will be speaking at 5 a.m. in the morning. So that is what I'm currently prepared for, because I'm in a different time zone than you guys probably. I think in the USA it is 8 p.m. in the evening. European time zone, it's probably midnight. It's about 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in most European countries. So quite an annoying time zone, I must say. So keep that in mind, because maybe you are going to miss it otherwise. Or you will miss it and you can just watch the live stream back we are going to do, because we will be live streaming the speech, guys, just so you guys know. And let me see if I want to discuss some more stuff. Let's go over to the trade. Still in a loss here. Let's see, we have this trade open for such a long time now. Most people will know. Like stated, if you do want to trade yourself, Ethereum, Bitcoin, smaller altcoins, make sure to come over to LBank here, where you can be claiming your 50% deposit bonus and your generous refund. Make sure to come and check it out. If you're getting interested in that, you can be claiming it with that link in the description under this live stream. A new monthly candle, weekly stochastic is sitting at oversold. Yes, definitely, but I must say the monthly Bitcoin candle actually did confirm the bearish crossover on the monthly time frame. We can shortly discuss it. If you go to the monthly, MACD, there you can see the confirmation of the bearish crossover because of this new monthly candle, the close of this one basically. So that's actually not looking that good, I must honestly say. But yeah, on the weekly we could be oversold, but the bigger trend is not that looking that good for Bitcoin, I must honestly say. But yeah, let's see how this is going to continue, because I'm still open for the scenario. And we can see that if we do this, we've seen these things happening before, where we saw a bearish crossover. I think it was this one, this candle. We've seen it happen one time before, where you basically faked out a bearish crossover on the MACD, but it is quite where it does not happen a lot. It did happen in 2019, which I think was a very similar scenario of what we are seeing now, with also the ending of QT and a lot of other stuff I stated in the update videos. But yeah, let's see. For now, it's not looking that good. Okay, guys, I think we've seen the most important stuff. I will spare some energy for tomorrow morning's live stream of the Powell speech. Make sure to come over. Hopefully it's possible within your time zone to come over and watch, but I will most definitely be there, because I think it's going to be important, and I also just like it to be up to date about that monetary policy and what the Fed will be doing next. For this stream, I will wrap it up for now. So if you did enjoy it, make sure to smash on that like button. Also come over to the VIP Telegram group, where I'm sharing much more updates. Not only me, also Crypto Rover and 5% other traders. Make sure to come and check it out if you're getting interested in that. Same can be said for LBank. If you do want to claim the 2.5k deposit bonus and a 5k generous refund, make sure to come and check it out. And yeah, hopefully I will see you guys within tomorrow morning's update video or the next live stream later this week. Okay, guys, have a good one.